Building Your Home First: The Legacy of Black Women Entrepreneurs. When I sat down with Nick Kelly Wright, I wasn't just meeting another entrepreneur. I was encountering a visionary whose quiet revolution is transforming how we understand success, legacy, and power. This remarkable woman has been methodically dismantling outdated business paradigms while building something far more sustainable in their place. Her insights don't just change businesses, they heal communities and restore dignity to spaces long overlooked by traditional success metrics. A wise woman builds her home first. These 7 words from Nick stopped me in my tracks, not because they were unfamiliar, but because in our relentless hustle culture, we've forgotten their profound truth. We're so fixated on climbing corporate ladders and chasing external validation that we've neglected the very foundations that sustain us. What does it truly mean to build your home first? It's far more nuanced than arranging furniture or hanging pictures. It's about cultivating the relationships, values, and immediate environments that nourish our souls. It's recognizing that legacy doesn't begin with a grand vision for changing the world. It starts with how we show up in our most intimate spaces. Consider what happened at the 2025 W Bank Conference in New Orleans. In a city that knows something about rebuilding after devastation, Black women owned businesses were celebrated for achieving a remarkable 32.7% average revenue increase despite facing systemic barriers that would have crushed most entrepreneurs. These women weren't just building businesses, they were transforming legacies, one decision at a time. But here's what makes their achievement even more extraordinary: they accomplished this while facing loan approval rates 10% lower than their male counterparts and denial rates 6% higher. The traditional capital gatekeepers weren't exactly welcoming them with open arms. So, what did these brilliant women do? They built homes first, metaphorical sanctuaries of support, connection, and shared wisdom. They created networks at conferences like WWB Inc., trading strategies on leveraging digital platforms, forming partnerships with other minority owned firms, and advocating collectively for policy changes that would benefit all. One woman I spoke with, let's call her Maya, had been denied bank loans 7 times. 7 times. Each rejection letter cited insufficient collateral or limited business history, despite her stellar personal credit and promising business model. Rather than giving up, she connected with 4 other women entrepreneurs at WBBN who faced similar barriers. Together, they created an informal lending circle, pooling resources to help each member through cash flow gaps while providing emotional support through the inevitable challenges. Within 18 months, Maya's business had grown enough to qualify for traditional financing, but instead of simply celebrating her individual success, she expanded the lending circle, bringing in 3 more women. The banks didn't build my business, she told me with a knowing smile. My community did. So my success belongs to my community. This brings me to the second profound insight from my conversation with Nick Kelly Wright. True progress isn't about individual wins alone, it's about building ecosystems that uplift other women and the broader community. I'm reminded of Gray's Upgrade Her initiative, which awarded $9,500 grants to 4 exceptional women led businesses from Brazil and Nigeria. After reviewing nearly 2,000 applications worldwide in its second year, this program didn't just provide funding, it created a global community of support that transcended borders and cultural differences. What fascinated me was how these grant recipients approached their newfound resources. Rather than focusing exclusively on business metrics, many centered family needs first, using funds toward education fees or health care. The ripple effect extended far beyond business growth into household and community well being. One recipient from Nigeria formed a cross border collaboration with a Brazilian counterpart, a technology transfer partnership that neither could have created alone. Within 6 months, both had increased their hiring capacity, creating jobs in communities that desperately needed economic stability. They weren't just building businesses, they were rebuilding hope. This is what happens when we reject the myth of the solo entrepreneur heroically battling against all odds. Black women entrepreneurs are showing us a different model, one where collective success matters more than individual achievement, where abundance is created through sharing rather than hoarding. Between 2019 and 2023, female founded startups nearly doubled compared with their male counterparts' growth rate. Much of this surge came specifically from increased startup activity among Black women leaders across technology, wellness, and social sectors. Yet persistent underfunding remains acute. Women hold only about one third of board representation overall, and cultural biases continue limiting advancement opportunities even at successful firms' highest ranks. So, how did these women overcome such obstacles? They got creative. Female led teams leveraged digital tools, social media, and e commerce platforms aggressively, building brand presence while working around traditional gatekeepers like venture capital firms that have historically overlooked them. Many began their entrepreneurial journeys while balancing caregiving roles during pandemic years, or rebuilding after layoffs and job losses that disproportionately affected minority communities. They weren't just building businesses, they were rebuilding lives shattered by circumstances beyond their control. And this brings me to the third powerful insight from Nick Kelly Wright. Resilience isn't just a quality Black women entrepreneurs possess, it's their superpower. I think about Denise, who launched her wellness company from her kitchen table while homeschooling three children during COVID lockdowns. When suppliers couldn't deliver ingredients, she formed partnerships with local farmers. When marketing budgets disappeared, she built a community on TikTok that eventually reached 2 million followers. When retailers wouldn't stock her products, she created a direct to consumer model that ultimately proved more profitable. Every no just redirected me to a better yes, she explained. I stopped seeing barriers and started seeing detours to destinations I wouldn't have discovered otherwise. What's particularly striking about entrepreneurs like Denise is how they've redefined what business leadership looks like. Rather than adopting the cutthroat, competitive models they saw around them, they created businesses that reflected their values, enterprises that prioritized community impact alongside profit. During the uncertain economic years from 2019 to 2023, while many businesses retreated into self preservation mode, these leaders leaned into community driven approaches. They understood intuitively that isolation isn't the answer to crisis, connection is. This approach yielded tangible results: record breaking attendance at national conferences by minority founders, millions in new contracts secured through supplier diversity programs, mentorship circles formalized across industries. But perhaps most importantly, this movement has reshaped how success is measured. It's not just about quarterly profits or year over year growth, It's about generational impact. It's about creating businesses that strengthen families, uplift communities, and build wealth that can be passed down. When Nick Kelly Wright speaks about building your home first, she's talking about this kind of foundation setting. She's challenging us to think differently about where true power comes from. In a world obsessed with external validation and visible achievement, there's something revolutionary about turning inward first, strengthening your core relationships, values, and immediate environment before expanding outward. This isn't about thinking small, it's about building strong. It's about recognizing that the most enduring structures have the deepest foundations. So I ask you, what would change in your life if you adopted this perspective? What if instead of constantly reaching for the next rung on the ladder, you invested more deeply in strengthening the ground you stand on? I challenge you to try something radical. Take a moment right now to reflect honestly on your own foundation. What is the home you're building each day? Is it sturdy enough to support not just your dreams, but the dreams of those who will come after you? Then identify one area where you can intentionally invest more love, discipline, or resources this week. Perhaps it's having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding with a family member. Maybe it's establishing clear boundaries in your workplace, or it could be creating space for the self care you've been neglecting. Finally, reach beyond yourself. Connect another woman entrepreneur, friend, or family member with an opportunity you've discovered. Strengthen your shared ecosystem from the inside out. This is how transformation begins, not with grand gestures that drain us, but with intentional investments in what matters most. The wisdom Nick Kelly Wright shared reminds us that we don't have to choose between personal success and community impact. The most sustainable path forward embraces both. When we build our homes first, nurturing our closest relationships and immediate environments, we create the foundation for everything else. Black women entrepreneurs are showing us this path. Despite facing some of the steepest obstacles in the business world, they're outpacing other groups in business formation and growth. They're demonstrating that resilience isn't just about surviving hardship, it's about transforming it into opportunity, not just for yourself, but for generations to come. The mountaintop isn't just reachable, it's being reshaped by those who understand that true success is measured not by how high you climb alone, but by how many you bring with you. Your power doesn't diminish when shared, it multiplies. Your home isn't built by walls that keep others out, but by tables large enough to welcome them in. Build your home first. The world will be better for it.